Good morning, fantasy football family. This is with the Week 3 recap. It is almost 7:30 on a Sunday morning, so sorry for the delay. Been a little busy on things, and I have to get ready for Metro service, so I'm stealing this idea from Andy from last week a little bit, and he did a little shout out to Paul Walker. So this week, with this cover art, I'm doing a little shout out to John Madden. I'm sure you can kind of guess how this is going to go for the rest of the recap. So we'll see. Maybe mine will turn out to be also a 40-minute recap. Maybe it'll be 10 minutes because I didn't really have that much time to prepare. But let's just go ahead and get started. So within each of these recaps, there's actually a full recap. Let me show you this. And down here, you have some stat smack. So it's pretty interesting here. Let me go ahead and read one for us. It says, Foosball the Devil don't just win, they win big with an average margin of 40 points, highest in the league. And right below that says, there's not much good to say about flux capacitors this week. Maybe they'll get their act together and we'll see something different next week. Ouch. So not too good there. But most important thing, all right, and actually apologize if it's coming off a little small, and also let me see, if it's a little small because I'm running this video off of PowerPoint. That screen record that Andy used last week isn't working for me, and so it's kind of sketchy, but we'll just go with it. So first thing to note, boom. Of course I picked myself and I won. That makes me 1-0 for my prediction for last week. Now, as for my players, on Thursday night, Jarvis Landry played, but this was also the time when they traded Josh Gordon, so I was a little unsure, like, oh man, that 8.8 points, like, should I play him or not? And while I was still reviewing this, I forgot that the game already started, so either way, I got nothing on Jarvis Landry. Now, also, this was a mistake, all day AP, because obviously he went off like crazy. So really, even though I won pretty good points, 117.84, if I had, let's see, switched Tate for Jarvis Landry, boom, slotting him over here, and then Aguilar to Fuller, so boom, switch him over here. That now opens up my flex spot, and then boom, put him in here, and then I would have been plus 27 points. And that would have been huge if I just set my lineup right. Now, with flux capacitors, this was also a very scary game for me because you have Deshaun Jackson and you have Juju Smith-Schuster, who both played on that Monday night game. Now, even though that their projected points was like 17, really, unfortunately, I can't click on their history because I'm just screenwriting. But what he needed between the two of them was only 42.44 points. I shouldn't say only because that's kind of a lot, but the way that both of them have been playing, that was only 21.22 each, which is totally doable for them too. Unfortunately, they both sucked it up. No TDs. And ultimately, they came up short. And even between his bench players, because he left 45 points on the bench too, but there's not really anything that he could have slotted from here to over here, and then that would have really made a difference for him to be able to win. So ultimately, sorry Flux, sorry Ryan, you got, like they said, maybe next week. All right, on to the next recap. We have Costco Pizza versus Here Comes That ... So Andy versus Steve. All right, let's check this out. So, another important thing, my pick. I picked Steve and Steve won. That makes me 2-0 for my my prediction here. Now, what was super risky was right here. Carson Wentz. And you know I love my boy Carson, but super risky play coming back from an injury. You know, not great, but not bad. At least he wasn't a total bust. But if you play him again this week, week 4, dude, against the Titans, he's going to be a superstar. So hopefully you got him in your lineup for next week. Now, what really determined this game is, boom, right here, the tight end position. Because their margin of difference, let's see, is only 7 points. And this, for James, I forget his first name, J. James, he only has 0.7 points against 9 points, and really that tight end position really made a difference for you, Andy. Because, you know, you kind of look at these, it's like it's even, somewhat even, and then that was really just your big difference maker. Also your defense too, but you're seeing these being your most important positions. Now, as for Andy, the other players, they did okay. But what I'm also noticing here is that you have a running back. So you have a running back. Then you have James Conner, another running back. And even for your flex, you got another running back. And then on your bench, you got a running back, another running back, and another running back. You are stacked on the running back positions. You have, oh, shoot, I forgot Le'Veon Bell right here, even though he's not playing. So you have 4 running backs, 4 RBs on bench. And that's a little bit ridiculous. So if anyone needs some RBs, I don't know, hit up Andy for some trades. Now, going back to that stat smack, one of them says, Costco Pizza have worked hard with little to show for it, making more transactions, 3, than Here Comes That Man, 1, this season, and still took a loss on that matchup. For Here Comes That Man, it says, Here Comes That Man laughs in the face of danger. They've got more upset wins this season, 1, than Costco Pizza, none. So as far as your optimal lineup, you just have the QB for Carson Wentz. Otherwise, not too much on the bench. Doing pretty good for Steve. Very nice. Okay, matchup number 3, we have G-Unit versus Baconators, Andy versus Chris. And this, man, I was very much looking forward to this matchup right here. Let's take a look. Most important again, boom, my pick. That makes me 3-0 for my prediction. 100% accuracy right here. So this was a close, but also not a close matchup because you got Drew Brees, not Boobies, right here. And he went off against that Atlanta game. It was almost like the Thursday night game that we had against the Minnesota and the Rams. Everyone got a touchdown. It was ridiculous. Let's see. What was also ridiculous, Andy, your kicker got you 0 points. And that's not really a fault of Dan Bailey. Unfortunately, it's just that they had no opportunities to kick. So there was nothing, not even a missed field goal, not even an extra point, not even a try. They got nothing. So, you know, I know on Thursday night he had some points, but that was really sad to see there, that just 0 points. Also, I think you have a open bench spot. So what's up with this? I think you have a slot for an extra player. So make sure to pick up someone and stash them away on your lineup. Okay, but let's go ahead and look at this. So even if you had Zerlin, and he also did nothing for 0 points. So either way, Andy, maybe you should fill this in with another kicker, and have 3 kickers on your team, because I don't know, you're just getting nothing on that position. Okay, when I was doing the math, let's see here. I think if you slotted in Mike Williams as let's see, maybe even under Dede. So if you slotted in Mike Williams for Dede, and then Derrick Henry for Jamal Williams, even though that would have given you 18.2 points under your optimal lineup. That would have only given you 111.66. So even then, you're still a little bit short compared to Baconators, so you still would have taken that L ultimately. All right. As for Chris, good play keeping Cooper on your bench. I mean, I know everyone's high on Amari Cooper. He did good like 2 years ago, but come on, 19 reception yards. He's a superstar, but under this offense, he is a dud. Also, Marshall, Brandon Marshall, he's a playmaker, but these offenses just aren't doing anything right now. Unfortunately, you also have Callaway, and while he did have some good plays last week or the week before, hey, I don't know, maybe you should keep playing him because now you have Baker Mayfield and not Tyrod Taylor, so hopefully good things will happen to the Browns. As for the Yahoo stat smack, it says, we heard scoring helps you win. G Unit needs some help then, averaging just 96.35 versus Baconators 103.87. And by position, Baconators have outscored G Unit at quarterback, running back, and defense this season. So very good for Baconators. You get the W. All right, on to next recap. Marshmallow versus let me see here. Oops, no, I went too far. Nope, I'm right. Okay. So you have Firestorm versus Dapper Dan's. Okay. Unfortunately, my pick for you, James, didn't work out. So now this makes me 3-1 as for my prediction. But congratulations, Ricky Van, for coming out with the win. Very cool. You almost switched your projections here because you guys really, James was projected for 108, and then Ricky got that, and then Ricky was projected for 104, and he got 89. So pretty interesting switch here. This was a ridiculous, oh man, if you actually look at that chart, it shows that, let me go back, I'll go back to that later. So really, I think what helped solidify this win, not only you have Ryan Fitzpatrick, who went off for, 3 pass TDs, even though he had 3 interceptions, but that didn't bring him down too much because he had a ridiculous 400 yards, and he's also playing again this week, I believe. Even though Jameis Winston is coming back off the bench, they're going to keep Fitzpatrick in because right now he's a playmaker, man. He's winning. You also have Calvin Ridley also went off for 3 reception touchdowns. So that was a really nice play, nice pickup, because, I mean, people are high on Fitzgerald, but again, without their offense just isn't playing anything. So I think if you had switched these, you would have been really disappointed. So good play on that. You had Ben Roethlisberger also on your bench, but I think either way, whichever one you played, you would have been happy with that. You're good. However, I'm also noticing that you, like Andy, like to hoard a particular position. So you have Fitzpatrick, you have Ben Roethlisberger, and you have Russell Wilson. So I know you're a little bit favored for Seattle, but I mean, let's see. You know why? Because you also have Disley. And he went off week 1. He did okay in week 2, but in week 3, 4 reception yards. Sometimes you gotta, you can't be too favored for your own personal team because it will cost you points, cost you fantasy points. Now, ultimately, very nice. James, what you could have done, because look at this, you also have an empty bench spot, and in the next week, I don't know, I need to check if you filled in your tight end position. But let's see, if you had switched out Keenan Allen for Shepard, that would have given you plus 11.6 points for 101.04. Ultimately, still short of that number. So, there was no way that you could have won. You could have won with his two playmakers getting all the points. But also week 4, you've also traded away Kareem Hunt. So, boom, Kareem Hunt is off your roster and Keenan Allen off your roster. But now you have Big Ben, and I think you also have some other trades you did there. So, as for the Yahoo Stat Smack, it says, don't worry, Dapper Dans, just because you lost doesn't mean it's all over, but you really should have won. Give that whirl next week. Ricky, it says, level 1 Firestorm have the clutch gene with more close wins than Dapper Dan's 1-0. Okay, next recap. Myra's looking at me weird because it's 7 a.m. and I'm doing my recap, but I'm continuing on. Let me show you this chart here. So you have this points by position. Boom. That wide receiver was just ridiculous because he had Calvin Ridley outscoring every other position on his team. Okay. Last two, let's take a look. Marshmallow versus auto drafts. Bradley versus Thomas. Uh-oh. What happened here? Okay. So unfortunately, Thomas, I had also picked you to win, and you did not. So now my prediction score is 3-2. It's not looking good. Congratulations, Bradley. You are now 3-0. That is quite the record. Okay, so very close. Also, we're going to look at the optimal lineup for Marshmallow. You have... No. Yeah, so actually, Bradley, he did have his optimal lineup. So left very few points on the bench. Suspended. This guy's injured. Freeman, he's out. Andrew Luck. I mean, of course you're going to play Watson because he has Fuller back. So you're not going to play Luck. Aaron Jones. Who else do you have? Todd Gurley, of course. Matt Breida. Rather take him. So, yeah, very good. Now, as for Thomas, I think there could have been some improvement here because you have 88 points here on the bench. Huge. And I think you also have the same position. You are just stacking your QB. So you have Mahomes. Of course you're going to play him the way he's playing. He's playing ridiculous, out of his mind. So why don't you cut Tom Brady? Because he's good in real life. Fantasy-wise, he's not good. Matt Ryan, right there, he went off. But you're not really going to predict that he's going to go off for 40 points, especially when you have Mahomes. But really, that would have made the difference because the difference here is only about 8 points. So let's see what other changes we could have made. Your Pittsburgh defense. Boom. That right there could have easily made the difference. Or if you switched out Crowder for Diggs, and yeah, this would have been your optimal lineup. So you take your 109.86 and you add the 14, whatever. I'm not doing the math, but ultimately your optimal lineup would have been 147.56, and that would have been a week high. So really, that's the difference that it can make when you have your optimal lineup. So especially with this week, starting off in a few hours, make sure to check your rosters. StatsMac says, hey, the auto drafts want to see stats that favor your team. We'll try winning for a change and see what the numbers have to say next week. Marshmallow Laser must have eaten their Wheaties this morning. They scored more points in this matchup, 117.7, than their season average, 100.65. All right, last matchup. You have Rico versus Gumptions, Sebastian versus Steve. Ouch. And let's see why. Dang it. What keeps happening with this? Okay. So, a very poor performance from Steve. Unfortunately, you are also my pick to win this week. So now that just makes me an average 3 of 3 in my predictions. So I forgot how good Andy did, but not great, but not bad either. Okay, now as far as Sebastian, you came out with the win, but you hugely underplayed your projected points. And if you had played Freeman compared to Barber, or compared to Lewis, or your other one, Wilkins, Freeman scored 11.8 points, and that would have been higher than all of these guys combined. So you really should have played Freeman this week. But I think he also only got these points because my guy, what's his face? The guy with the curly hair, he got ejected for starting a fight or for punching someone. So you really didn't know that Freeman was going to go off this well, until the game actually happened. I think all three of these guys combined for 9.3 points compared to Freeman 11.3. Then in the flex, you could have also put in Goodwin instead of Barber because he's here, your wide receiver, and this would have given you an additional 11.4 points. So, yeah. As far as Gumptions, I don't know what to say. Your team kind of sucks. LaShawn McCoy was a scratch. I don't know if you knew that in advance and you just didn't change your lineup. Also, I played Keelan Cole in my other league, and I thought he was going to do well, and he also did poorly. So I can't really say I like anybody else on your bench either. So hopefully there's some good people on waiver wire, and hopefully you can do better next week. The StatsMac says they weren't even trying all that hard. Rico Van Auken scored less in this one, 81.3, than their season average of 97.95. And the Gumptions would be doing great if the goal was to lose. They've lost 3 in a row. Okay, so now that we've done that, let's jump on to week 4, and let me just check the predictions, and let's see what my prediction scores for next week. So obviously I picked myself for this week with the Thursday night game. I'm under, but I think I still got it. You have Costco Pizza versus G-Unit. I've picked G-Unit to win this one. As of right now, I'm looking good. Flux Capacitors versus Here Comes That Man. I picked Steve to win this one. And if he does, he is off to another great start for the season. He might be 4-0 even without any help. So kudos to you, Steve. Farstorm and Baconators. I picked Chris. Again, also with Thielen. He got a TD and some points, so looking good there. And James. Oh, he did pick up a tight end. Very good, James. I offered you a trade and you rejected it. And you offered me a ridiculous counter trade, so that's fine. I picked James to win, so we'll see what happens. And lastly, I also picked Thomas, the auto drafts. And I'm looking pretty good because the defense came up. Actually, the defense came up negative for Minnesota, but hopefully you'll still come out with the win. All right, everybody, that's it. Hope everyone liked this version of, Fantasy Football Recap Week 3. And this was only maybe 20-ish minutes, so not as long as Andy's. Hope someone else takes week 4. Bye.